Nike has never once told me that their shoes are good. Think about that for a minute. Any advertisement, any commercial, anything that you have ever seen with Nike, do they position their shoes as being the best shoes? Maybe you're going to think, well, yeah, Danielle, why would they be promoting that their shoes aren't the best shoes? But have they ever actually said that? And the answer is no. Nike is genius at storytelling, at messaging, at positioning that makes you feel like their shoes are the best, that makes you feel like you want to be in Nikes. And that is why when I go to your website and I see that you are the number one Nuka doctor who has this technology in your clinic, and I'm sorry, I'm not picking on Nuka. You guys have an amazing technique. But when we lead with the type of adjustment we do, with the type of technology we have, me, who I am, what I do, nobody gives a shit. Nike is a genius at marketing because Nike positions you as the hero. And today's episode is all about how we can frame what we do, not about what we do, but about how it enhances the life of the people we serve. So let's jump in.
You do that off the cuff?
Yeah.
You have a real gift.
I don't know.
You could teach a cold open riff course.
That's my next business. No, it's hilarious because I have no idea what I actually just said. If you ask
I blacked out a little bit.
Yeah, if you ask me to repeat that, there is no way in hell that I possibly could. So
It sounded great.
I don't know if I could teach it. Just kind of like
Just
dumps out of my brain.
Just do what I do.
Just be good. I'm just kidding.
Well, you could just say, just do it. And that would be very on par for this episode. But it's also another correlation. Why do you think Michael Jordan never really became a coach? Probably because he'd get frustrated that, like, why can't you just do it as good as I do? And it's
Kobe too.
Yeah, you know?
And Kobe had that temper.
And you're saying the same thing.
Just kidding.
To
I know
your
nothing
associates.
about Kobe. It's true.
Just do it like I do. And they're like, I can't.
Oh, they're like, how? And I'm like,
All right.
Okay.
Let's break this into a system or a framework, right? And that is ultimately what we'll be doing here today.
Absolutely. I think we're learning that consuming information, it's like kind of in one ear and out the other. So how do we help the clinics that we're working with figure out how to create repeatable systems in telling stories, in messaging, in getting their genius out to the market, the same way we're teaching our associates how to systematically provide really good care for people and get our clinics working really well. And so we are developing a lot more frameworks. We're trying to create memorable ways to apply these things to your clinic, to your messaging, to your marketing, so that you can consistently get new patients in the door, make more money, and have more freedom. And so I'm excited. I feel like today's framework and kind of the direction we're going is going to be really, really helpful to a lot of different brick and mortars and service providers, because it really helps to shift what you're talking about to something that people identify with, that people look at and they're like, oh, how could I not have that in my life? We want to make you irresistible.
And it's top of mind because we've made a lot of these same mistakes early on. And in fact, just the other night, I was scrolling back all the way back to Verve's first posts. And I think your first post that you did was you adjusting me. And it just said, I love adjusting spines.
That sounds about right.
That was the whole caption. And I was just like, wow. One, it's all about me. Two, you're showing an adjustment of me, not your target audience. Like, why, We didn't know what we were doing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the average clinic owner probably logs on or, Monday morning or Sunday night, whatever, and says, shit, I got to post on social media, but I haven't gotten any real engagement from anyone that's not my mom or other, clinic owners that I know from around the country, whether I went to school with them or just know them, or other practitioners in my area who want my patient base and want me to refer to them. And I haven't really gotten a lead from an actual patient in a while. And I don't really want to do this, but I know I have to.
Should.
And I should. So what do I say? Where do I start? we haven't even gotten to actually designing or creating the damn thing. So what happens? We resort to two things. One, doing a trend or a fad. And I swear to God, if I see another Netflix interview style documentary thing, I'm going to throw my phone from across the room. I don't know if you guys saw, but we did a contrarian take with Dr. Danielle here of, kind of using that in a funny, kitschy way, that while you're focusing on doing that, our clients are focusing on what actually moves the needle and actually gets revenue into your door. And that's building repeatable systems. So shameless plug there, and also stop. But
one caveat, I'm going to disagree with you slightly. I think a trend has a purpose. I think the trends, and I think like we did a trend, which is the clocked in, clocked out, right? Where we show our doctors.
Fine. I have a rebuttal to your rebuttal, but I'll let you finish.
It is retention. It is community building. It is showing your personality. So I think there's a time and a place for it. And I think what we're talking about here is strategic positioning so that the market sees you as the local authority, the person that they want to go to, that they connect with, that they know can solve their problems.
Yeah.
Two different.
If I could have finished my thought. Okay.
You do a podcast with your wife, my dear.
This is an inside look at marital communication. I preface with two things happen, and I didn't even get through the first thing. Okay. So you're right.
ADHD.
Trends.
Yep. Sorry.
Trends are trending.
I love you.
But what happens is that's all people do.
Yeah, you're right.
And we do the funny shit. And that's certainly great. Don't get me wrong. That is some good top of funnel relationship, personality driven stuff.
Yep.
And actually, I would prefer that over the other end of the spectrum, which is very much technique driven.
Yeah.
Certification driven. If, that's cool, you were voted number one for across Dallas Fort Worth moms, or whatever your city is, your area is, if they have best of or, whatever, then that's awesome. But when you wear that or reference that or have it in everything and it's all over your website, it screams me, and it makes it all about you. Or you talk about your technique, you talk about chiropractic, you talk about your service. And it's we're forgetting that whole middle part, which is more important, which nurtures people. The trends, the funny, the personality might bring people into your world.
And the credibility.
And maybe that brings people in. Right. But that you're just doing top of funnel and very bottom of funnel.
Yeah.
There's multiple layers in between that,
yes.
in that middle of funnel.
Agreed.
That is often being missed. And that is what nurtures people. That's what builds trust. That's what helps people identify with your mission and vision and brand. And that is through storytelling.
1000%.
That's what I was trying to say.
You said it very well. Sorry, I just get excited. Okay, so our point here is to help you use your story in a way that makes your brand and what you do about the person you serve. And what we've done is we've broken it down into a very easy to remember acronym called STORY. Okay, so think about a typical Nike ad, right? If we look at Nike and how they market, we can see the average person, yes, do they use athletes and professional people? 1000%. But the bulk of most of their ads look at the everyday Joe or the everyday Jane who is trying to gear up to overcome something. Maybe she's training for a half marathon and she's lacing up her shoes and maybe it's raining outside. And who is Nike focused on in those ads? It's not the shoe. It's not the product. It's the person. And it's the person positioned as somebody who has a body and is therefore an athlete, somebody who has the will, the desire, the goal, and is therefore an athlete, right? And the whole premise of their thing is here's this person who wants this thing. Just do it.
Just do it. Just take action.
Just take action. Just show up. Just start running. Just start moving towards the thing. And that inspires anybody watching that commercial to be well, shit, if that regular person could be an athlete, I could be an athlete. And if I just get a pair of Nikes and go outside, here I go.
Could you imagine if Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, got on these commercials and talked about their specific technique for making a better shoe, comparing it to Reebok, comparing it to Adidas. Here's why this is better, because we have this sole and this much ounces of pressure, and it's like
Yeah.
let's reframe here what the ad, obviously the ads are, as you mentioned, but what could they be if they marketed like a clinic owner?
1,000%. And I think about, what was it, Nike Freeze, when we were in like high school, college.
Was that the ones with the pump?
No, it didn't have a pump, but it was like one of their just main running shoes. It was really light. It was really flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I remember those shoes, and it was like, oh, if I get the Nike Freeze, running will be easier. Running will be more attainable.
Oh, they were super light. I remember those.
Super lightweight.
Yeah, we were like in college.
Yeah. I had multiple pairs of those shoes. I don't think they actually were good running shoes, but it was like this identity of like people who run wear these Nike Freeze, right? Or I even think about going even further back, middle school. And obviously there was a whole different marketing campaign in the early 2000s, but I had these pink Nike Airs.
Fuck yeah, you did.
Were they Nike Airs?
Don't ask me. I didn't know you in middle school.
I know. I'm trying to think of.
Obviously.
I know. I just don't want to say the
the
wrong.
coolest kid in school.
I don't want to say the wrong Nike, but they like kind of had a platform, and they were like light pink, and it was like definitely a hip hop inspired look. And I thought I was the shit.
Were they your Air Force Ones?
Air Force Ones.
Oh my God. With my Air Force Ones.
Yes, I had light pink, pastel pink Air Force Ones.
That's my wife right there.
Listen, they're back in style, by the way. There is an identity there of who I was aspiring to be, or who I would be perceived as if I wore these shoes. So Nike is so good at tying the identity, when it comes to sports and athletics, it's like the capability that anybody can be an athlete. And I think when it comes to style and culture, it's like if you wear this thing, you're a part of this group, this culture, this movement.
Mm-hmm.
Nike has been just the absolute best at that. And I think you and I were talking about a story and kind of a campaign that they did that was a really good example of this. It was
it's the other end of the spectrum, right? So they market to the masses of the everyday weekend warrior, and you are part of this movement, and then it became this fashion thing, and it became like identity.
Right.
Well, another part of their marketing that helps mirror to the average Joe of what you can be when it comes to identity is sponsoring pro athletes. And no Nike campaign was more popular than the Michael Jordan campaign. And even if you're not a basketball fan, I don't care. They sponsor athletes to wear their shoes. Every brand does this now. In the late 80s, this was like, basically Converse and Adidas were the big, companies out there. And then this little company called Nike basically made this crazy offer to this up-and-coming superstar named Michael Jordan. And he selected them, and I don't remember the details, but I think they just gave him equity and ownership and whatever, and really kind of partnered with him on this. And of course, the brand exploded. But what that does is it helps the average person, me as a child, when I watch those commercials as a kid, and Michael Jordan is jumping through the Air Jordan, and he's dunking the basketball. I've never been able to dunk basketball. I'm 6 foot, but you know what I mean? I can barely grab the rim. So that was like, oh my God, I could play and be like Michael Jordan. And the tagline is what? Be like Mike. That is identity marketing. That is aspirational, where if I wear the shoes, I get to perform like Michael Jordan. I become NBA global superstar. And of course,
clearly,
that is my exact story.
Like I said last week, this is why I married you.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Also, but how genius is their full arc for marketing, right? It's everyday people just do it. But also, you have the potential to be great and amazing if you just do it. And their product is at the base of all of that. It's the foundation of all of that, but they never talk about their product.
Right.
But it's the through line.
Yep. I mean, look, these are the brightest minds in marketing, right? There's Nike is known for its creative storytelling elements. It's the billboards, in the downtown square, and, the imagery and the colors, and of course the tagline, just do it. But again, there are real takeaways here that we can use on a micro budget, on a micro level, right? If we're just going 5 miles around my little office in Orange, California, but, how can we then use this to
Right.
differentiate ourselves, to build a cult following, to build a brand that people are willing to drive further than that 5 mile radius? Because if you were like every other Dr. Bob and people are just searching chiropractor near me, they're just going to go to who's closest and who's the cheapest
And who takes my insurance?
and who takes my insurance, because I just want this thing to go away.
Yeah, you have to build that community and that cult following. But here's my question, because Nike has billboards, entire creative teams, creative directors, they've got budgets that you and I couldn't even comprehend for these things. So how does a clinic owner take this concept, study Nike, and apply it to a clinic in a way that can build a brand? Because you and I both know, and guys, like, you might look down right now or look away from us when I say this, but most clinic owners don't even want to spend $1,500 a month on an ad budget.
Budget aside, posting on social media is free,
That's true.
right? So I'm not saying market like them. And in fact, because their budgets are nearly infinite compared to a local clinic owner, that's not what we're saying. The branding and the positioning is what we can take away and what we can create for our own. And you did this with Verve.
You mean branding isn't just colors and fonts?
No, or a logo. No, so surprisingly, it's not. But you did this with Verve. And I think, again, going back to everyone keeps asking us, how did you guys grow so fast? There wasn't one silver bullet. There wasn't one thing that we did. Yeah, we learned ads, but we didn't turn on ads until we were making $70,000 a month from organic sources only.
Yep.
That just catapulted what we were already doing. I think one of the early wins that we did, and by we I mean you, because I had no say in this, not say, but I had no input in this because it was way over my head. This is more the creative storytelling, but it wasn't Roach Chiropractic. You created Verve. And Verve became that safe place for this. And we used imagery.
People would ask me what Verve meant. And I said, you know that feeling that you get when you get off the table or you sit up from your adjustment and your body just feels like it's filled with energy? You're like, yeah. I'm like, that's Verve. I use storytelling in that moment.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is a great example of storytelling. You're helping someone position and feel something.
Yeah.
You know that feeling when?
Yep.
So imagine a world where, imagine a time when right? And we did this here describing Nike. Think back to the last Nike ad or billboard that you saw.
Exactly.
Right? So how can we make this a repeatable process so that, let's rewind, now it's Sunday night or Monday morning, and you're prepping for your next week's worth of posts, and you have that, shit, what do I do?
Yeah, or you're building your website, or you're any of the content that you're creating to market your business.
Now we're able to, kind of look at this through a strategic filter, multiple filters. Yep. And that's the story framework.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. The first letter of the story framework, obviously, is S. And S stands for star. So like we've alluded to, like we've been talking about for this entire episode, that star is not you, my friend. And I know
as handsome or pretty as you may be.
This is probably going to contradict some of the things that we say when we're talking about using your story as the founder. So please don't get this confused. Your founder story is something separate. You can apply this framework to that because, again, you're making this about them. So I'm going to put that aside. Even when we're talking about our founder story, we can still make it about that person. But for the purpose of this framework, your star is your ideal patient, your ideal client. Maybe you are seeing women who are 35 to 40 who have 1 to 2 children who, work and are stressed and have, maybe a little bit of strain in their marriage because they're trying to balance all the things. Like, however detailed or we're getting about who this person is, right? That would be a pretty one of our avatars at Verve. We are making it about them and their experience in the world so that they identify with what we're talking about.
But you can't make someone the star if you don't know who this person is.
1000%.
Or if you say, I treat everyone from babies to grandparents and, we're the place for everyone. So first step is we have to get really specific. I talk a lot with our clients about specific real world problems for specific people. And you can also add to that specific goals and aspirations and beliefs held by specific people, right? And it's like when you can zero in on that, well, then you really have kind of, a specific number of personas that you can start to target, right? So think about who do you, look at all the types of patients you saw, who pays you the most of all the visits that you saw within the last year, how many came from each different patient type. Then within those, what kind of conditions did they have? And you'll start to see kind of a clear picture of like, 80-20, 80% of my revenue comes from this type of patient. And 80% of those patients come in with these handful of issues.
So when we're talking about, this point, take that 80% like you're talking about, or the 20% of the people who pay you the 80%, and think about who they are at their core. And I think it would be helpful in this exercise to think about specific people, like actual humans that you have worked with who pay you well, who love you, who, all the warm and fuzzies, like truly humans in your world. And what do they do? What do they talk about? Who's in their life? What sorts of things are they hoping for? Like, think about when you're asking them their future goals and like what they hope to get from care. Like, what is kind of the common thread? Is there something that maybe they want to play with their kids more? Maybe they all want more energy to, I don't know, continue working because they love their work, whatever it is. Like, who are they? And that's what the star is. The star is who this person is. The next letter in this framework is the T. And the T stands for tension. And so this is the part of that person's story that is their problem, essentially.
Internally and externally, right? So externally, I'm in pain or I'm fatigued, I'm exhausted, I have this thing, it's manifesting and showing up in my reality this way, right? So there's a consequence to that problem and you can go multiple levels deep depending on that. But also there's an internal tension, the guilt that I feel, the shame that I feel, the frustration I feel, and that can manifest and go down different layers as well. Because if I feel guilt, then how is that also, prohibiting or limiting my relationships or whatever it is? Subconsciously, I don't even have a, explanation for it, right? So there's a real tension there, and any good story has a villain.
It's true.
We can't just have the hero. That's a boring story, right? Here's how awesome Super Mario is, and he lives on this, magical world with Princess Peach. There's never any problems. No, you have a giant turtle dragon thing named Bowser who's trying to burn it all down, right? And they have conflict and they, the hero always overcomes and whatever. But there has to be that villain.
Yeah, 1000%. And I think that naturally when we have a villain and we have these tension points and these pain points, we don't want to live in the place of constantly focusing on Bowser, right? Because if Super Mario was all about Bowser, it would just be depressing and scary for your 3-year-old, right? Yeah. The next letter in our framework here is O, right? And O stands for outcome. It's the transformation. It's the other side. It's the defeat of this villain. So to your point, while they can't always be living in, with all the toads and mushrooms with the stars and the sunshine and the rainbows, we got to be able to see that, right? That there's something worth fighting for. And for the people in our clinics, for our ICA, for our avatar, it is that time on the floor with your kids playing without worrying about what your back is going to feel like tomorrow. It is being able to perform at the highest level in your sport or, crossing the finish line of that marathon that you've been training for. We need to paint the outcome for them so that they see that what you're asking them to go through, that journey is worth the payoff.
Exactly.
The R in the framework is your role in it. So now you get to come into this marketing and this messaging.
And this story.
But remember, the star, the hero, is not you. So your role is not to be, the main
Nuka technique
character.
expert.
Exactly. You are the guide.
Proven, yep. You've walked down this path 1,000 times.
You're
with
Princess
people
Peach.
Just like them. Yes. So this is actually a good example. I love this movie, maybe because we have kids and maybe I grew up with Super Mario. But they do this very well, for it's very easy to see, where the problem is Mario gets transported into this other alternative universe. He gets separated from his brother and he has to find him again. Meanwhile, Bowser's trying to take over the world. So Mario finds the guide, Princess Peach, and she takes him through this obstacle course where now he's learning and how to fight and eat mushrooms, and he gets these superpowers. And then they go on this journey together, right? And they meet Donkey Kong along the way, and there's a mini tension there. And then, okay, now he's part of our journey. And then it ultimately culminates in all of them together fighting Bowser. So I just gave away the whole movie if you haven't seen it. But the idea here for us is Nike is that guide providing the footwear or the identity piece that helps someone along this transformation journey. We, as clinic owners, don't need to be so technical. It can be as easy as, that feeling when we help women and families experience that consistently without the thing you don't want, drugs or surgery, right? So you can start to paint a real picture of your role in this process, but we're not talking about acupuncture, chiropractic, Webster. Like, we can start to really just help paint a picture. It can be that simple.
Right. And the last letter really is how we kind of wrap up this process, and that's a yes, right? That Y stands for yes. That is essentially your invitation to them to take action. So if we put this entire framework into play, we start with our star, right? We start with our hero. So are you a mom who lives in Orange County and, you work a job, you've got a family, you've got 2 full-time jobs, and all you want to do on the weekends is be present with your kids and play and keep up, go ride bikes, do all the things, but your low back pain keeps coming back and is nagging. And, it's Saturday morning, your kids put on their helmets, they come into your room, they're excited, they want to go ride their bikes to the beach, and you look at them and you're like, guys, my low back has really been bugging me. I don't know if mommy can make it out today. Maybe we can just, play it at home instead. Maybe we can just put on a movie. And that guilt just nags you down. You look at their faces. They're, so sad. And they're like, mommy, okay. They're disappointed, but they decide that watching a movie is fine. And you sit there through that movie and you're like, man, if only we'd been able to ride our bikes. And you play through all of the reasons that you're a bad mom because of this. And, you're frustrated and it's like, why? I use the red light and I get massages and I'm healthy, I'm active, I'm doing all the right things, but it just doesn't seem to be working. And that feeling just sits with you. Now, imagine if instead of your little girls coming in on Saturday morning and you having to watch a movie, you woke up full of energy and you looked at them and you said, go get my helmet, let's get the bikes, let's go. And you get to ride down to the beach and you get to play in the water and you get to grab ice cream after. I don't know why you'd have ice cream in the morning, but it's
why
like,
not?
So paint that dream outcome. And, your girls see their mom and they feel inspired by how she shows up. I don't know. I'm going to obviously
building core memories.
We're building core memories. So that is right, the outcome. Well, at Verve Chiropractic, we help moms like you feel amazing in their bodies so they can show up and focus on the things in their life that matters. Click the link below to schedule your first appointment. So the star is mom, who she is. The tension is the pain she has, the guilt she feels, who she's not showing up as. The outcome is being able to ride bikes to the beach and make core memories with her kids. my role as Verve or as the clinician is to support her and help her understand why it's happening, give her a solution so that she can be the mom she wants to be. And that yes is her call to action, the thing I want her to do to be able to explore the relationship with me further. Never once did I say, at Verve Chiropractic, we use drop tables and diversified adjusting to be able to get more, release in your low back so that you have better mechanical functioning and your nervous system doesn't send nociception up to you. Like, you know what I mean?
We use the activator, so there's no twisting, popping, or cracking.
Right.
Cool. Not applicable at this stage.
But do you see the difference? Right? We're making it about her. We're painting a picture that she feels emotionally connected to. And maybe that's not the moment where she's like, yep, I'm going to book. But maybe she's like, oh shit, there's another way. And starts to get curious and follows me. And now we can start that relationship. Or maybe she's been following along for a while. She sees herself in the story and she's like, you know what? I do want to be able to ride my bike. I do want to be able to do this thing, whatever it is. Let me just see what this is all about. And maybe she takes that, one click further and explores what our new patient consultation looks like.
What does this entail? How is this different? How does it work? That's all things that would be on a landing page, right? But all those things, the technical, the FAQs, are what we're putting on the front door before anyone's even come in to show any interest or wants to take that next step. We're just shoving it down people's throats.
We need to connect with them. We need to understand them, and we need to show them that we understand them. We need to also show them that there's hope, that there is something different, that there is an answer to the thing that they have been struggling with. And I think that if you can effectively do this, your marketing is going to be 10 times more effective with 1/10 of the money toward it.
And I think an easy way to do this is to show and not tell. So as you're telling that story, why don't you show imagery of, and maybe it's some lifestyle video, or maybe it is you riding your bikes on the beach, right? So imagine that post or that carousel or an ad. You're sitting there yapping and talking and telling the story, but what's overlaid is riding the bikes and eating the ice cream and on the airplane.
Yep.
And, aspirational, but we're showing and not just telling.
And I think that
Nike does that, obviously, with their imagery.
So good. And it's that combination, right? It's the storytelling and the story showing.
Yeah.
And I think that combination is just chef's kiss, like so good. And so I don't think our founder story needs to be our entire life. And this is what we see business owners get really stuck with. It's like, well, what piece of my story matters, right? And your founder story is helping you connect with people and, again, make them feel understood in what you've gone through. So next week, we're going to dive even deeper into how to use your founder story, how to find the pieces of your story that matter, and how to effectively share them without doing what Kyle said, making it me, all about me, making it about them. So make sure you come back next week and check out that episode. And until then, just do it.
Just do it. See you guys.